Mentally, physically, emotionally, I don't think I can read this book right now. This isn't a sticker. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel if you're new here. So if you could tell by today's video title, I have decided to take an author whose book that I previously did not enjoy and take another one of their books and see if maybe it was just like the writing style maybe I didn't enjoy, maybe it was the characters, the plot in general. So we're gonna take another book and see if I enjoy it. So if the author for today's video is gonna be Abby Jimenez, who I have read one book by her before and I really did not enjoy, and that book was The Happy Ever After playlist. Now, when I read this book, I think Abby Jimenez only had about one or two books out, and this was one of them, and I just thought it sounded cute and fun, and it was for a time, but over time I just felt like it was way too long, and I felt like the conflicts in this book just kept going on and on and on, and there was one conflict after another, and I got really annoyed with it. When I read this book, Abby Jimenez wasn't a super popular author quite yet, but over time, as she released more and more books, she has become incredibly popular. She's one of like the top romance authors that, when I think of romance authors, Abby Jimenez is like at the top of that list. I wanted to see like, maybe was it just this book that I didn't like? Maybe should I pick up another one? Maybe see what the hype is about? When I saw this cover, I was like, yeah, we gotta try this one out. That's Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This cover is genuinely, it's so good. This cover gives me like happy summer fun vibes, and I'm really hoping that that's what this book is, because honestly, that's what this book has sort of been marketed to me as. Everything I've seen about this book is it's gonna be a fun little summer read. So hopefully we get that. But this book is long. This book is like 400 pages, which is, to me, long for a romance book. There's a dog involved, and I'm very excited. I do think this is a part of a series, so hopefully that doesn't become an issue. Because I think with romance series, you're able to read them out of order, but you just won't get the little Easter eggs that you would have got had you read the series in order, which honestly I'm fine with. We'll see. This book, I'm hoping, will get me to love Abby Jimenez, because her other books do look pretty cute, but I've just been sort of not wanting to pick them up because of my past history with Abby Jimenez's writing and with her characters. It just feels very, both these books, I don't remember anything about this book. Like, don't even remember the main characters' names. Yeah. So, hopefully, we'll enjoy it. So, let's see. Okay, so, I look awful right now, so that's why I'm not on camera right now. But I was going to start this book, right? And this is a sticker, like, that I can take off. I just can't get it off at the moment. But this isn't a sticker. This is on the cover. Genuinely, why would they do that? I would not have bought this book if I had known. I thought this was a sticker when I bought it. Why would they do that? Why would I want that on the book forever? Genuinely, the worst. Also, I got a new friend. Oh, he's huge. I found him at TJ Maxx, and he's literally the cutest thing in the entire world. It's a weighted plushie. Love him. Don't love this. Like, dating from the floor. I don't know. This was just the most comfortable spot. But we're reading this. I'm currently, 116 pages in, chapter 11. And it's going. Not well, but it's going. That is for sure. This book started off pretty strong. I enjoyed characters for the most part. I didn't really vibe with them yet because it was just, I was only not too far into it. But now, it's mainly the female love interest that I'm not enjoying, because I feel like the male love interest just doesn't have a personality enough for me to feel anything about him. So, yeah. Also, this sticker is a crime. It's literally a crime. Anyways, for the most part, I was enjoying before they had met up, which I don't think that's a spoiler because they talked about dating each other, so they're gonna meet up. I enjoyed their conversations with each other before they met up in person, and that's really funny because the book that I didn't enjoy from Abby Jimenez before was the Happy Ever After playlist, and this book I also really enjoyed right up until the point where the main characters met up in person, because in this book they're talking solely through like texts and calls and stuff, which is which is literally what they're doing in this book as well. But the second these characters meet up, they start sucking real bad. So, one thing that like got me with this book, so our two main characters, this might be a spoiler. I don't consider this a spoiler, but like if you don't want to know absolutely anything about like any scenes or anything, I'll put like a spoiler warning. It's just like a scene from like a date that they go on. It's not like actual spoilers, I don't think, but like if you think that would be a spoiler, I'm gonna put like big spoiler on the screen unless that goes away. I'm done talking about spoiler. But they go on a first date, right? And I get that they have already they've been chatting with each other for like a few weeks. I don't know the timeline actually. A few days to a few weeks. They've been like talking to each other through texts and calls and video calls and stuff like that. But then they meet up and they go on this date, which again, they've already been talking, so they know some basic information about each other. So like the first date won't have like them talking about personal like information like that, like getting to know you sort of things. But the things that they talk about on this first date are so weird, mainly from the female main character. Okay, they're talking about how the main character, Emma is her name. I should stop calling her the female main character and call her Emma. Her name's Emma. So Emma is talking about how her and her best friend Maddie sort of like stalked him online after he made that first Reddit post to sort of make sure he wasn't creepy. And he was like making a joke like, oh, what don't you know about me? And instead of saying something like funny or witty or flirty, she goes with, I don't know how your dad died. What? Why would you bring up his dead dad on a first date? Why? Especially in a sentence, like in a context of that situation, why would you ever say, oh, I don't know how your dad died? Like you could have said, I don't know what size shoe you wear. Like that. And then, not even like a few, actually, I don't know how many sentences later, she goes on to talk about in detail about how her mom neglects her. And he goes like, oh, that's like really bad. How could you ever forgive her? And she goes on to defend her mom, which is fine in and of itself. She has her own trauma to deal with. Like, I'm not gonna harp on that. But then she talks about, they're back to, maybe it is like a few seconds after, yeah. Like a few sentences after, I don't know how your dad died, she goes like, what if, this is actually makes me so uncomfortable. She's like, what if the universe, I actually need to pull up exactly what she says. They're talking about how his dad died. And she goes, you know how when something bad happens to someone you love and you wish you could take it from them instead? What if the universe listened? What if you or your mom or the kids were supposed to die in a car crash and your dad said, take me instead, and the universe did? You're saying, what if you were supposed to die in a car crash instead of your dad, but your dad decided to die for you in your place? What a crazy thing to say to someone nevertheless, a crazy thing to say to someone in general, but like on a date, on a first date, you just met this man for the first time in person, and you're talking about what if you and your little siblings were meant to die, but your dad died instead to take your place. That's literally, what a wildly inappropriate thing to say to someone. That's so inappropriate. So it's little things like that that are just not, yeah. And also, I'm not vibing with the humor of this book. It feels like it's trying way too hard to be funny, and it's just not funny because it's trying too hard to be funny. So it's going well, as you can tell, but I can feel a migraine coming on. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but it might, so we'll see how that goes. I'm on page 160, and I was reading some reviews on Goodreads, which I don't usually do until after I finish the book, just because I feel like Goodreads reviews tend to sway me towards one way or the other. But I don't know why I decided to read like a few, but one of the criticisms of this book was that it had very emotionless writing, and that is something that I've been noticing a lot, especially with the way in which characters are described or characters are like grouped together. Because one of the main issues that I have in this book is that none of the characters feel like in depth, and I don't feel like any of the characters care about each other in any way other than like the main two, which even then their relationship feels very insta-lovey. It feels very like it was meant to happen because it's written in a book. That's how it feels. But in this book, there are the main character, Justin, has 3 little siblings who are much younger than him because his mom had him at like 18. But throughout the entire book, rather than being described as like his siblings or whatever, they're called the kids. Like the main character, Emma, goes like, oh, who's gonna take care of the kids when your mom goes away? And it's just like, why not call them your siblings? It makes it feel like their relationship is just, I don't feel a connection to them because they're constantly called the kids or a kid or whatever. And it's just annoying. And then the dog in the book, his name is Brad, which is the main character Justin's best friend's name as well. And that is an issue in and of itself, because rather than calling the dog like the dog's name, they call it the dog or my dog. I feel like I get more of a connection when you use a character's name rather than just calling them the kids or a dog. And yeah. And then another issue I'm having is I'm feeling like the main character, Justin, solely exists just to back up Emma, this main character. Like, he doesn't have much of a personality other than to back up Emma and make her look better. Because she's constantly giving him this advice, which to me, really bad advice. If someone were to say the stuff that she's saying to me, or if someone were to say the stuff that she's saying to Justin about about his dead dad or his mom who is in legal issues, I would genuinely ask them what is wrong with them. Because some of the things she just says to him are why would you say that? But instead of being like, he's just like, oh wow, I never thought of it that way. And then the one thing was like, she said something to him about how his mom doing what she did was a direct result of his dad dying. And he was like, oh my god, I never thought that what she did was as a result of my dad dying. Even though she did it like a few months after his dad died. And it's like, you really never thought of that. You had to have this main character who you've known, you had to have this girl who you've known for like a few weeks at most come in and tell you that. I don't believe that. So he solely exists just to make her look better, in my opinion. That's how I feel so far. Every character in this book is annoying to me, but Maddie, her best friend. Maddie is the only real character in this book, the only one actually standing up to the stuff that she is saying and being like, hey, let's think about this a little more. Yeah. So we're really enjoying this, as you can see. I don't think Abby Jimenez is an author for me at this point. I feel like me and Abby Jimenez just don't vibe. That's all for now. Okay, besties, it is final update time because I did finish, what's it called? Just for the Summer. I did finish, so I finished this morning. I was planning on finishing it last night, but then I just got so tired, and the thought of reading this book last night put me in a slump. I was like, genuinely, I don't think I can do that. I had like 20 pages left. I'm like, I don't physically think, mentally, physically, emotionally, I don't think I can read this book right now. So, we finished. I have some thoughts. I honestly don't know what I'm gonna rate it. I feel like it could be like a 2.5, 2.75. It's like lingering on a 3, but it's not good enough to be a 3, I don't feel like. So I feel like it's going to be a 2.75, whichever. Because this book, the whole premise, I feel like this book was mismarketed. Because this book, even the vibes from the cover, like, just give fun, cute summer with a dog, we're at the lake, we're having fun, we're fake dating. That's not what this book is at all. This book is about trauma, and I wish it was marketed as a book about trauma, because although it does say, like, in the synopsis, like, there's a few, like, elements pertaining to mental health issues and trauma, like toxic mothers and having to take over guardianship of your 3 siblings. I wasn't expecting that to be, like, the main focus of the book. I was expecting this to be a cute summer romance, because that's what not only the cover gives off, but it's like what I was seeing all over the internet. It was marketed as, like, a cute summer romance, like, just for the summer. But no. This book was so much about trauma. This book was basically a book about trauma and dealing with past childhood issues, and then there was a side plot of romance. And I wish it was marketed as that, because then I would maybe like it more. Maybe. At the same time, I still didn't enjoy the characters. They felt very emotionless. I didn't even remember their last names for, like, a good portion of the book. And, like, they brought up the main character Emma's last name, and I'm like, oh, that's her last name? Like, I genuinely didn't even remember, because these characters just feel like words on paper, which they are words on paper, but you don't want to read a book where the characters just feel like words on paper, if you know what I mean. The whole premise of this book is that these 2 characters are, like, fake dating. It's fake dating, but at the same time, like, it's not fake dating, and there's, like, a weird dichotomy between fake dating and real dating in this book, and there was no clear-cut line, because they start dating in order to break up, is the whole point. So it sort of is fake dating, because they know, like, oh, it's not going to be a real relationship, we're going to cut it off in 6 weeks. But then, from the very start, when they first meet, it feels like they're already real dating. So, were they ever actually fake dating? Because there was no clear-cut line between them fake dating and real dating. And that was an issue, because towards the end of the book, when all, like, the big emotional reveals and traumatic reveals and things, mental health issues were going on, they never really felt like a real couple to me, because I went into this book like, oh, they're fake dating. But it felt like they were real dating from the start, but I was thinking of that as the fake dating, because that's what it's marketed as. So I'm like, oh, they're fake dating, but they're being, like, real about it. Because this book is so insta-lovey. He literally says, I loved you from the moment I laid eyes on you. It's so insta-lovey. And it's weird, because it's meant to be fake dating. I don't understand, because that's what has me so confused about this relationship, because was it ever really fake dating? Because in my mind it was fake dating. But in the book, I don't think they were ever really fake dating. I am confusion. So, yeah, I read a Goodreads review that said that this writing felt extremely emotionless, and I think that's part of it. It's just I never really felt any emotion for any of these characters. I never felt connected to them, and that made me not really care about this relationship. Also, the dog, which they call him the dog so often. Call him by his name. Like, I felt no connection to the dog either, which crazy for me to not love a dog in a book, because I love dogs in any book. But this one was barely around. They called him the dog, my dog. They rarely ever called him by his name, because she named him Brad, after the male main character's best friend, which is a whole thing, but it created an issue in which it created a confusion issue in which if they called the dog Brad too often, the reader would think they're talking about the main character's best friend Brad. Created a whole issue, so they just called it the dog the whole time. He was barely in it anyway, so why even put the dog on the cover if he was just gonna show up and just sit in people's laps the entire book? I have a lot of issues with this book, and I feel like this little rant that I'm going on is helping me solidify my rating about this book, and I think that it's gonna be a 2.5 star. And this video sort of solidifies the fact that me and Abby Jimenez are just not meant to be. And that's okay. That's okay. Some authors you're just not meant to vibe with, and you're not gonna vibe with every single author out there. I don't enjoy her writing style. I don't enjoy her characters. They just felt so emotionless, and I don't want, especially going into a romance book, there's so many like traumatic elements. I don't want to feel emotionless about characters. I want to feel the emotions that these characters are going through. I want to feel the romance. I want to feel the struggle, you know, and I didn't get this. Also, the main character, Emma, so annoying. I literally wrote down on my phone, she has so much going on with her past, and that like it's I can't relate to that. I can understand that in a sense that she went through so much in her childhood, but at the beginning of this book she's preaching like, oh, I went to therapy and I finished therapy, so like I'm fine now, and she's giving advice to these other characters that is so toxic. It's like toxic positivity, and it's just so incredibly annoying to read. Her ranting to these people about toxic positivity because she's finished and graduated from therapy. Like, clearly you haven't. If you're preaching over that empathy is always better than anger, and it's like, some cases you can't say that. Especially the things that she was saying to this male main character about certain things about his dad dying and his mom. It's just like, you shouldn't say things to people when you just met them. You shouldn't say things like that to people you just met. It's not okay. And she clearly has so many issues that she still needs to work out, but she just absolutely refuses. And I understand it's like character development, but I feel like it's wrong. The things that she's preaching at the beginning of the book during her toxic positivity little I graduated therapy stage is brought back up at the end of the book, and I just it grosses me out. Like, some things, no, because all cases are not the same. All people's trauma is not the same, and you cannot preach your little empathy over anger to everybody, especially when it clearly doesn't even work in your situation. So let's think about that. There was a little bit of character development on her end, and the only real character that I loved in this book, who I felt had any backbone and any personality at all, was Maddie. Her eating Emma up, saying, I am not the obstacle in the way of your happiness. That person is you. Saying that to Emma, beautiful. Because Emma needed to be, like, put down. She needed to be humbled a little bit because she was so obnoxious. She was blaming everything on everybody else, and jeez. Okay, we're gonna put the book down because we're gonna end the video now because I feel like I've been ranting and talking for way too long. So, the point of this video was accomplished in that Abby Jimenez is not for me. I don't think I'm gonna try any more of her books. I feel like we just don't mesh. So, that's it for this video. I definitely want to do this with more authors. I can't think of any that I didn't. There's probably a few. Oh, Leigh Bardugo. I really want to do this with Leigh Bardugo because I did not enjoy Six of Crows, but The Familiar kind of looks good. So if you want to see that video, comment down below. If you even got to this point in the video, if you want to see me do this with Leigh Bardugo, I will maybe do that in the very near future. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you even got to this point in the video, hi, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you even watching me rant and rave for however long this video has been. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you would like. I would really appreciate it. It would mean so much to me. And yeah, that's it. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Goodbye.